And welcome back, everybody. Another edition here of College Football IQ on the 24/7 Sports Network. It is your favorite college football game show, potentially the only college football game show. Right now, this is episode 2 as we keep this thing rolling. And I am Nathan King from Auburn Undercover, and I am joined today by our motley crew of 3 contestants from around the SEC on the 24/7 network. We got Jordan Hill from Dawgs247 taking off the host cap for today, going on the other side of things. Christian Clemente playing in my place for Auburn Undercover. And we got Aaron Gershon from CatsPause, our Kentucky 24/7 site. Hope you guys are all doing good. Jordan, how does it feel to be on the other side of the screen per se?
I feel like the pressure's totally off. I mean, I felt like early on the first round, I was like, "Is this going well? This may not be going well. I think it might not be going well." But I actually think it was great. Nathan, you did a great job on the first one, and let's shout out Bryce Kuhn, our buddy that was on episode 1. Huge. He and his wife Hillary had a baby girl. As we recorded this, I think a couple days ago. So congratulations to them, and super excited. Hopefully before too long, we'll have Bryce back on.
Jordan, I was telling them as you stepped away from the camera for a little bit, I almost responded to his tweet and was like, congrats, man. I can't wait to talk about it on the podcast tonight, just to see if I could throw like a sleep-deprived dude for a second there.
I was so tempted to make a similar comment, but I was like, I'm not going to be that guy.
I've never seen Bryce mad in my entire life, but I feel like maybe that would be the only time. Aaron is here, like I said, from CatsPause, our Kentucky site. Aaron, hope you are doing well. We were talking before we got rolling, and it's been a lot of basketball for you guys over there. How's the off season treated you?
Yeah, it's been wild. Didn't expect it, obviously, going into the offseason, but we're through the thick of it. They're up to 12 out of their 13 scholarships, so mostly done. And now we're, focused on the College World Series, potentially for Kentucky for the first time ever if they get through Supers. So it's nice to take a little bit of a break and have some fun talking football. I feel like I haven't talked enough of it the last couple months here.
Yeah, Christian, I know you've been really looking forward to this. I know this is your expertise. I know this category is just right up your alley as our recruiting person. Are you feeling good ahead of this one?
No, I'm not. But it all goes back to, the Cardale Jones tweet. We didn't come here to play school. Look, I didn't get hired by 24/7 Sports to cover the coaching carousel. I got hired to cover recruiting. And my hopes are extremely low for this. As I've told Jordan, I know I'm going to get called a hack by the Dawgs247 board again. But, I've accepted that and I'm ready for it. Look, I don't know the coaching carousel. I don't pretend to know the coaching carousel, and we'll see what happens.
So Christian said it there. The topic of episode 2 is the coaching carousel. The first one was the transfer portal, which again, congrats to Bryce. He won that one as well. So double whammy, arguably more important than the birth of his child. But that's left to be determined. So if you watch the first one, you'll know all these housekeeping rules I'm about to go through, but we will have 4 different categories here on this show, and it will go scaling from $100, $200, $300, $400. Like Jordan said, we'll see about our 24/7 higher ups getting us on the hook for that. No promises to you guys, but we'll see about getting you those winnings. I'm keeping up with the points right here, and there is a few bonus questions in there, and the buzzer system. For those listening at home, we have a private chat here in our little stream setup. And so it's about as close as you can get. It was Jordan's idea the last time around, about as close as you can get to a buzzer. And so I can kind of see everybody's answer. But if you're listening to this on the podcast version, everything will be instantaneous. You've got all that. If you're watching the video, welcome. We're glad to have you here. But there will be very long pauses where I am making sure all the points are correct because we don't want to screw that up. So if you guys are ready, we will check out the categories here, and hopefully I don't just spoil a question. The first category, as the carousel turns, that's going to be kind of a basic one, sort of this place opened up, it opened this other thing, who took that job sort of thing, kind of easing us into things. I was kind of proud of this one. Who he coached for. Obviously, a little play off the NBA on TNT, who he played for. This is maybe guys that y'all don't remember, or it's kind of obscure where they are now. Just not as simple, I think, as the first category. Your third category is getting technical. This will be Christian's favorite because this is when I get down nitty gritty. Okay, this guy coached here, but he was actually at this place. What was the former place he was at before that place? This is going to be the one where you guys hate me a lot. And then the last category, by the way, this one's going to be shorter, only 3 questions here, and they're worth 400. So these are kind of the heavy hitters. Digging deep, these are going to be kind of several layers of ideas. And you got to kind of figure it out over the course of the question. And then we'll have a final round as well, where in true Jeopardy fashion, you'll just get to wager whatever you would like. Don't wager whatever you would like. I will update the points at the end of every single round. All right. Like Jordan said, the pressure, I'm sure, is off of him. The pressure is all on me, Jordan. I don't like this at all, but we're going to see how this goes. So if you guys are ready there in the private chat with your buzzers, we will get rolling to the first question. So as soon as you have an answer you like, go ahead and tap in. Our first question. Alabama hired Washington coach Kalen DeBoer to replace Nick Saban. Then the Huskies nabbed Jedd Fisch. Who replaced Fisch at Arizona? Jordan, you were the first one to buzz in there. What is your answer?
That was fast.
I gotta say, was it Brent Brennan?
Brent Brennan is correct. Out there on the West Coast. Yeah, Jedd Fisch, what, 11 wins last year? 10 wins? I can't remember exactly what it was. It was a lot with Arizona. I thought that was a really, really good hire. Brennan's win percentage at San Jose State is not incredible, but I think that's also a program where it's like, okay, if you're winning some games, that's a pretty good sign.
Hey, you pushed Brian Horson right to the edge there in Jordan-Hare Stadium.
We're going to get so many of these from Christian. Christian has absolutely no stakes in the game here, so it's just going to be a fun time. Yeah, well, it was 10-7 San Jose State at halftime 2 years ago.
Well, the good thing is we haven't been hearing about Brian Harsin lately, so that's cool.
Yeah.
What's he up to these days?
I certainly haven't tweeted with him at all, if that's what you're wondering. All right, on to our next question. Another $100 one. I'm going to put the little spaces here in the chat so we know. Next question. When Texas A&M landed on Duke's Mike Elko after firing Jimbo Fisher, this former SEC assistant was hired to lead the Blue Devils in 2024. Christian is the first one in. Christian, what you got for us?
Manny Diaz.
That is correct. It is Manny Diaz, who also comes over from previously at Penn State as well, and Miami as well, and kind of tailoring things a little bit to the SEC because of our relations here. And so you guys will notice that as we go through these questions, but I will then give 100 points to Christian. Our next question. Houston parted ways with Dana Holgorsen after a 4-8 season. The Cougars, so used to that on this podcast. Cougars hired Willie Fritz from Tulane, but who now replaces Fritz with the Green Wave? Jordan coming in with this one. What you got, Jordan?
That would be John Sumrall of formerly of Troy.
Of Troy, that is correct. It is John Sumrall.
For my money, would have been the head coach at Kentucky had Mark Stoops departed for Texas A&M.
How close was that to? Was that a real thing?
Yes, it was a real thing. I don't have the exact details on why it ended up not happening, but Stoops was ready to go there. They were ready to hire him, and I don't know if it was the fan base was revolting Greg Schiano style or what, but it didn't happen.
I guess I'm forgetting that there was a blowback on it. I'm not saying I like Mike Elko, but I feel like you should be happy with Mark Stoops.
I think there's a recency bias, right? If Kentucky was coming off the 10-3 year of 2021 where they crushed LSU, they beat Iowa in the Citrus Bowl, they played Georgia probably as good as anyone that year outside of, I think Alabama beat them in the SEC championship. It would have been a different story, but coming off 2 7-6 is, not as attractive.
We will move on now to our next question. Technical stuff working good for everybody? Everybody getting theirs in?
Yeah, the first one I forgot to hit send. So okay, we're good now.
I think Jordan might be cheating, but outside of that, we're good.
All right. So Christian will take Ben's role in this show of Ben just crying wolf after every slide. Next question. Chip Kelly departed UCLA. Pipe down, Jordan. Late in the coaching cycle to become the offensive coordinator at this program that is now in the Bruins' own conference. Christian got this one while Jordan was busy complaining. Christian, what you got?
What is the Ohio State University?
That is correct. This was like February, right? Like it was late.
It was late.
I don't envy that situation there at LSU. So Jordan and Christian both tied right now with 200 apiece. This is our bonus question. Brady Hoke retired after a 42-year coaching career, opening up the San Diego State job. Who did the Aztecs hire to replace him? I did not do the little separator thing, but if I am correct, I believe Jordan got that one in first and foremost. So Jordan, who is the new head coach for San Diego State?
That would be Sean Lewis, who was just recently Dion's offensive coordinator. Don't really know why he would have wanted to have left as quickly as he did.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I am not sure either, but that is correct. Jordan is absolutely correct. So we head to round one with Jordan in the lead. Jordan's got 300 points. Christian's got 200 points. And Aaron, you were feeling what a lot of us felt in the first game, in that 99% of it, right? Yeah, 99% of it is just clicking. Yep. Which, is this the best system ever? Potentially not.
Hey, if you watch Jeopardy, the buzzer, buzzing in is part of the game.
I did want to talk for a second, as Jordan kind of did in that as we did in the first game, after every category. Just as everyone sort of listens around from potentially other programs that aren't related to, the schools you guys cover. Jordan, I'll start with you. Just kind of your thoughts on the coaching hires that Georgia made this offseason, whether there was anything significant in your eyes that sort of moved the needle for you.
Yeah, it's actually been quite a while since Georgia has had this much turnover. They lost Dell McGee. He takes over at Georgia State. They lost Fran Brown, who's taken over at Syracuse. Brian McClendon goes to the NFL, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, and also Will Muschamp takes a step back. He's just going to be an analyst now. And I thought Georgia did a really good job of sort of handling those departures. They go get Dante Williams from USC. They go get T-Rob. I thought that was by far the best hire they've made, being able to convince him to leave Alabama. Bring in Josh Crawford, who's a guy that's coming over from Georgia Tech, has a lot of experience in the state of Georgia. I think that they did a really good job. Also, James Coley was the other hire they made, bringing him in from South Carolina, a guy that was on Kirby's first staff and at one point was the offensive coordinator. So, yeah, it's one of those things where a lot of change, but I think they feel really good. It's guys that have really good resumes, guys that, have shown they can coach at this level. But James Coley, like I said, had coached at Georgia before. And T-Rob had pretty much been a Will Muschamp disciple. And hearing from some of the guys like Malachi Starks are like, T-Rob gets up there talking and we're like, man, that's Will Muschamp. Like, it just, the carryover between them and that connection is so strong. So, yeah, a lot of change, but I think that Georgia made some really good hires. And to this point, it seems like it's going really well.
Aaron, we talked about Kentucky keeping Mark Stoops,
yeah,
obviously as one of the more accomplished coaches in the SEC, a guy who's now been around the block for them. What does his coaching staff look like going into 2024, and kind of your thoughts on that group?
Yeah, 3 changes on the offense side of the ball, starting at the most important spot, offensive coordinator. Liam Cohen goes one and done again. He's back in the NFL as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense coordinator, and this happened in February, so they had to scramble, and they hired Bush Hampton from Boise State, who they were a top 25 offense last season. Every year he's been a coordinator, both at Boise, at Washington. He's had at least 1,000-yard rusher. So I think they're going to kind of get back to the roots a little bit. You're going to see a more of a run-heavy approach. I think the receiver room is really talented. They'll be more balanced. But I do think they're going to try to get back to the roots a little bit under Hamden. And then wide receivers coach has kind of been a revolving door throughout the Mark Stoops era. They bring in DeKel Shorts, who may be a familiar name to some college football fans. He was a really elite wide receiver at West Virginia not too long ago. Was the wide receivers coach at Houston under Dana Holgorsen. He comes over to coach the receivers, guy who's already doing a pretty good job on the recruiting trail, a guy that they're hoping those players can kind of relate to more. And then maybe the most well-known guy on the list is Eric Wolford, coming back for a second stint as offensive line coach. He was here in 2021, went on a recruiting trip and ended up recruiting that guy, Tyler Steen, to Alabama instead of Kentucky like he was supposed to. So it didn't end great the last time, but the room he had in 2021 was as good as an offensive line unit Kentucky's had. He inherited a lot of those guys, but did get a lot out of them. So they're hoping that he could do the same thing here this year.
Christian, I know from a recruiting standpoint, that's maybe the thing with this Auburn staff. People feel like, and Charles Kelly is, a name that sort of speaks for itself, but just kind of what have your thoughts been, not only on the hires that Freeze made and kind of a different looking staff in year two, but how things have gone with them so far, with a group that Freeze has admitted over and over again, hey, I'm just more comfortable in the building now with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key word right there. Comfortable and familiarity, especially on offense. Hugh Freeze went out and got Philip Montgomery as his offensive coordinator last year, but within a couple games, it was clear that Hugh Freeze was not comfortable with what was happening. And in all honesty, he wasn't really comfortable from the get-go. You could hear it in press conferences, looking back on it now in fall camp, saying, look, I'm trying to learn words that Philip is using. I'm still trying to use some of my own stuff here. I'm not calling plays. I'm calling a couple plays. It was kind of a mess, which Auburn has had a mess at offensive coordinator for as long as I can remember now. But he goes out and hires Derek Nix away from Ole Miss, as you probably saw from Lane Kiffin's Twitter at some point. But Derek Nix is a guy who has worked with a lot of these guys on staff on offense for a long time. He knew Jake Thornton from when Jake Thornton was over at Ole Miss. Ben Angamoa has been with Hugh Freeze and been with Derek Nix. Marcus Davis is really kind of the only new piece there, but Marcus was obviously with Auburn last year on offense. And then you also bring in Maurice Harris in an off-the-field role, who was very close to getting an on-field coaching job last year when Hugh Freeze was first hired. And then defensively, I think it was just a systematic change a little bit, or a culture change, I guess you could say a little bit. Looking for maybe more energy there, more energy in the building, more energy definitely on the recruiting trail. And that's what DJ Durkin brings to that defense. And he's knocked it out of the park so far in recruiting. And then Nathan, you mentioned it, Charles Kelly has one of the best pedigrees in terms of recruiting, coaching guys in the league. I mean, the guys that he has on speed dial. I know he said that, a guy like, I'm trying to think, I'm drawing a blank now. Who's the DB on the Lions who played at Alabama?
Am I jumping? It's not Terry and Arnold.
No, that's not who I'm thinking of. Second year guy. Point being, whoever it was wanted to come back and wanted to train with Charles Kelly at Auburn. And Charles was like, being an Alabama guy and being at Auburn now, I don't know how well that'll fly. But all of these guys kind of flock back to Charles Kelly. Jalen Ramsey, Derwin James. It is not hard to sell come into play for Charles Kelly for sure. So it's a staff that Hugh Freeze is more comfortable with. At least that's what he says. And we'll see where things kind of go from there in year two.
That's been the thing that he's talked about. And look, as an experienced team coming back, they don't need to make that many improvements next year, obviously, to be better off a 6-7 season. And so we will now move on to our next category. These are going to be worth 200 apiece. I don't know what's happening with the drop shadow there, by the way. Not sure how I pulled that off. It doesn't look like that on the actual slide, but whatever. This is who he coached for. So just some sort of a who's who. We'll see if you guys remember. I'm sure you know these names, but we'll see if you've been able to keep track of what they've been up to the past couple years. So buzzers at the ready. We'll move on to our first question of the second round. Ken Niumatalolo spent 16 seasons as the head coach at Navy. Then he went to UCLA as an assistant under Chip Kelly. Staying on the West Coast in 2024, who he coached for? Jordan, what you got?
San Jose State. And it sounds like he's not going to run the triple, which, I mean, I think that's a shame.
That is correct. He's staying over there out on the West Coast. And, yes, taking over, which, Jordan, you got that correct last time on Brent Brennan. And so, he's following there at San Jose State, where, like you said, he will not, apparently, allegedly, run the triple option, which obviously to all college football fans is just a sad sentence. Because it worked out so well for Georgia Tech a few years ago when they just went cold turkey on that. But San Jose State, I guess, isn't going cold turkey as a program. So moving on to the next question here. So Jordan gets 200. Former BYU and Virginia coach Bronco Mendenhall spent the past 2 years out of the profession before being hired as the head coach at this FBS program. This is one I actually kind of had to learn over the last few months. Really interesting. Jordan, you were the first one to buzz in by a pretty wide margin. What's the answer of Mendenhall's new program?
New Mexico, and I just want to say that it's such a shame he's never coached Boise. His name is Bronco. Why? Why? What do we have to do to make
that
this
or Western? Got to be that or Western Michigan.
Christian puts in the chat, not a real person.
I'll be honest, didn't know.
You're gonna see him this fall, Christian.
First, he has to see the Montana State Bobcats.
Does he really? Is that a week
zero?
Oh, wow. Huge. We're big Montana State people around here, by the way. So Jordan gets another 200 on the board here. Christian and Aaron, don't let him run around. We knew he was the betting favorite.
Yeah, we did.
Got to make up some ground here. Next question for $200. After 3 weeks at a new college gig, this former Alabama OC jumped at a sudden head coaching opportunity at his alma mater. Aaron,
Oh, you know what? I have it wrong now that I was going to buzz in and I have it wrong. So
if you would like to answer, you can. If not, you won't lose any points for it.
Oh, I have his name. You followed it. Now I have it in my head. I have his name. I don't know why I had Tommy Reese's name. It's the offense coordinator from Washington that followed to go back. Right? Is that correct? Oh no, it is alma mater. I have it wrong.
Oh, it is incorrect.
Yeah,
that is incorrect. Jordan is next up with this one. Jordan.
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien, yeah.
Boston College. Don't know how that's going to work out. Good luck to you, Bill.
Yes, the answer there is
not going to
Bill
work
O'Brien. It's Aaron declares it's not going to work out. Yeah, I had forgotten as well with this one that he did the whole Ohio State song and dance thing. Just an interesting sort of situation there overall. All right, so we'll see. Next question here. This former SEC head coach spent last season at ESPN before returning to the sidelines in 2024 to coach at a Conference USA program. Aaron is in on this one.
That's Derek Mason, Middle Tennessee.
That is nicely done by Aaron. He has rounded back out here. Yes, Derek Mason, whom I had kind of forgotten, honestly, was at ESPN. I don't think he was on air like that.
No, he called a couple of the early season Kentucky games. I think he called one against, I believe maybe Akron, and then maybe their week 1 game against Ball State. So that's the only reason I knew that.
Yeah, we saw him at there was a Vanderbilt player at SEC Media Days.
That's right.
That was one of his captains, and we saw him there, and we were like, "Oh yeah, I guess I'd forgotten that he was at SEC Network." I think everyone can sort of agree that this is kind of a cool hire for him to go back there. Not back there, Nashville in particular, but obviously that sort of area.
Yeah, 30 minutes away.
Yeah, not far at all. And just kind of being a lower pressure job. I think everyone really likes Derek Mason. Anyone who's ever been around him.
He's got a fun staff too.
Yes, absolutely. Who else besides Kendall Simmons is there, Christian?
Corn.
I forgot Corn is there.
Corn, and then you've got a bunch of other Auburn guys as well. I mean, transfers. You've got Amari Kelly. You've got Roman Gagliano from Opelika High School. I know they brought some recruiting staffers up there as well. So it's a fun little staff up there.
Shout out the Opelika Bulldogs. That's what I was going to say.
Shout out Eric Speakman.
Roman Gagliano. The gag order is about to be in effect in Murfreesboro. All told, I don't know whether this one is the bonus or not. And actually, we didn't play the bonus correctly last time because I wanted everyone to text it to me so that everyone could get it. And instead, I just treated it as an extra question. So we will see here. Everyone get your buzzers at the ready. Next question. After DeBoer hired Kane Womack as his Alabama DC, this former Houston head coach was promoted to take over the Jaguars program. Christian was first in on this one. What you got, Christian?
Major Applewhite.
That's right.
It is the Major Apple Man.
And he was at Auburn's elite camp on Sunday with the South Alabama staff. So there you go.
So Christian's got the insider knowledge here. Yeah, that's South Alabama, I think, is in a decent spot overall as a program, but it was, I don't know. It's kind of a gut punch for a G5 anytime and like DeBoer did it with some other coaches too. Like it's a gut punch when you can just take a sitting G5 coach and give them that sort of opportunity and that sort of money. But obviously it makes a lot of sense. All right, so I believe the next category will be our bonus, and after some time that you guys will not hear on the audio, we have that system set up now. Next question. If everyone's ready. Also keep your hand on the buzzer because it could not be the bonus. I'm actually not sure. Oh, no, it's the next category. We don't have a hey.
This game show, man, it just keeps you on your toes. You just never know. You know, it's like being on the bench and during a football game. You're like, hey, man, somebody goes down. They may have to call on me.
That's right.
I appreciate you propping me up, Jordan.
I'm telling you, what if you know the whole man in the arena thing, that's what hosting this show is. If you haven't done it, then you don't get to critique.
Yeah, Brian Harson doesn't know what he's talking about. All right. So we head into round 3 now with Jordan atop the leaderboard with $700 at the moment. Christian has $400, and Aaron went 1-1 on that round with the answer that docked him and then got back to even playing ground with $0 heading into round 3. But like I mentioned, $300 a piece now. These are going to be some big ones. So you guys have an opportunity to shake things up a little bit. Buzzers at the ready. We move to round 3, getting technical. Interim Zach Arnett was not retained as Mississippi State's head coach, and the Bulldogs hired Jeff Lebby. But where did Lebby coach last season? Christian was first in on this one.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
He was at Oklahoma. Good job of deciphering there, Christian. And Christian gets, as we go in here, Christian adds 300. All right. Reset here. Buzzers at the ready. And the next question is, Kansas's new OC is Jeff Grimes, formerly of Baylor and LSU. But which Big Ten program did the Jayhawks' previous OC leave for? Does anyone know this one? Aaron is in on this one. Andy Kotelnicki?
Yeah, I believe that'd be Penn State with Coach Franklin up there.
That is correct. Aaron got the answer there on Penn State. Jeff Grimes, maybe he is going to be a popular character in the questions here. We'll see with the next one. Moving on. Speaking of Grimes, his void at Baylor was filled by former West Virginia and Texas A&M assistant Jake Spavital. Where was Spavital last year? Any takers? Jordan?
Sure.
I'm going to go out on a limb because I don't exactly remember, but was he at Cal?
Oh, it was a good limb. It was one of your good limbs. Jordan goes out on a limb, and he picks up 300 points there. He was at Cal. This was one that popped into my head because Auburn played Cal in September, and I was like getting ready for that one and figuring out that Jake Spavital was there, and I was like, I did not remember that. So Jordan gets a nice 300 points there. We will move on now to the next question in this category. Buffalo head coach Maurice Linguiste was hired at Alabama. The Bulls are now led by Pete Lembo. What was Lembo's job at South Carolina? Jordan, you were first to buzz in here.
I believe he was the special teams coordinator.
That is correct. Another 300 on the board for Jordan. Yeah, that was, I'll just be honest, I don't have any previous information about who Pete Lembo, what he sort of was as someone who is going to take a Power 5 job. But Jordan, I think an FBS job, Jordan.
I was just going to say he was at Ball State, and he was one of those coaches that you're like, oh, he may jump up, he may get like the Illinois job, and it was like it got to a point where he was just like, yeah, it's not happening. I think he went to Maryland. I think he might have been there when Randy Edsall was there, but it was like, I'm just going to be an assistant. So this is kind of his second chance at the FBS level to be a head coach.
Everyone in SEC circles from South Carolina and beyond obviously thought highly of it. We will move on now to the next question. Oh, this is our bonus. All right, so you guys can head to Twitter on this one. We have got, I'm going to put 45 seconds on the clock so you can DM me. No Googling unless you're able to live with the shame. How many members of Kalen DeBoer's 2023 Washington coaching staff are now assistants at Alabama going into next year? You don't lose any points here.
Okay, we don't lose any if there's just a guess in there.
Didn't set it. You are welcome to guess whatever. You are not going to lose any points. it is strictly bonus. Start the timer now. All right, winding down. Everyone got their submissions in.
I threw a random guess in there if we're not losing money off it.
Yes, you're not losing any money. Unfortunately, nobody got this one correct.
Nice.
It
didn't think so.
A bit surprising to me. There are only 2 members of his coaching staff that are now assistants at Alabama. Remember, initially he was going to have an offensive coordinator. That changed hands. He was going to have a linebackers coach as well, who went over to Tennessee, and now Christian Robinson is there. So the 2 coaches right now that are on his staff are Nick Sheridan, who serves as the tight ends coach.
And wide receivers, right?
And it is Jamarcus Shepard, who serves as the wide receiver. I think they both have co-OC tags there.
Well, my guess was 4, and if they both have co-OC tags, that's like 2 extra titles. So
I put 4 too. So if Christian's getting credit, I'm just
never mind.
Ryan Grubb was the one who threw me through a loop when I misread the last question there. So, and then he left Alabama to keep that number down.
Yeah, I tried to because if it had just been period, how many guys came through? I mean, Jordan and Christian, technically it was 4 that came through, but the obviously the OC and linebackers coach, and now they got Christian Robinson over there at linebackers coach,
former Georgia
Bulldog and former Auburn linebackers coach. And so now, as we will rack up these points here, okay, Jordan heads into round 4 with a decent sized lead. He has $1,300. Christian heads into round 2 with $700, and Aaron is on the board heading into round 4 with $300. All right, so if you guys are ready, like I said, there are only 3 questions in this last round. They're worth $400 a piece, so you've got some good opportunities now. You can shoot for the moon if you're wanting to try to catch Jordan, and then obviously we will have the final question that will serve as the usual Jeopardy style of just wagering however much you want to wager. So we will now head to our next category, which is digging deep. These are probably going to make you hate me, so I apologize. Our first question in the $400 round is, who is the longest tenured head coach in the FBS? Your hint is that he would still hold this title if Nick Saban had not retired. Jordan punched in on this one. Jordan, you're going for 400 here. What you got?
I believe it's Kirk Ferentz.
Kirk Ferentz is the answer. He is the longest tenured FBS head coach at his individual stop. Probably should have made that a note as well. But I don't think that would have mattered either. I think maybe Terry Bowden would have been up there. Terry Bowden also not the oldest one. I thought about doing that. Do you guys know who the oldest FBS head coach is?
Is it Mac Brown?
It is Mac Brown.
Be Mac Brown. Yeah, that makes sense.
Man, Jordan's all over it. Jordan's like, it's not even a real question, but I still got it.
Get out of here, Nathan.
That's question 1 of 3 in this category. We will now head on to the next one. Indiana hired Kirk Cignetti after James Madison won 11 games last year. And then the Dukes went on to hire Holy Cross's head coach as Cignetti's replacement. What is that man's name? Does anybody know that one? Christian, these are your Dukies, man.
He's coach.
I think I have it from my connections up north because I did grow up there. I believe his first name's Bob Chesney. Is that correct?
It is Bob Chesney.
There you go.
Bob Chesney. A huge answer there for Aaron. He is now up to $700, tying in second place.
Have some buddies who are Holy Cross alums, and then Luke Newman in the transfer portal was a Kentucky target. That's how we put 2 and 2 together there.
Well, there you go. Jordan, what was the name of the guy you asked about, the Penn D lineman? What was his name?
Joey Slackman.
Joey Slackman.
Yeah, dude, it was Joey. Yeah, it was Joey Slackman, and I was like, I literally would not have any idea who this person is, except wasn't he gonna visit Auburn, Christian?
Yeah, he had a visit set up. He just canceled it.
Okay, yeah. So the transfer portal connections, the Holy Cross connections, they all work in mysterious ways. All right, so this is the last $400 question coming up, and then we will get to the final round. Buzzers at the ready. The OC from college football's #1 offense last season now coaches at this program. Anybody? Any takers? We're gonna go empty on this one. All right, I'll probably call it there. The answer here is Mike Denbrock. LSU's OC. LSU had the #1 in the country last year with Heisman winner Jaden Daniels. And then Mike Denbrock went, which while I was doing some research, apparently this is his 3rd stint now at Notre Dame. So not a big surprise to see him go back there.
Can I ask a question? When a guy makes a move like that, do y'all think they just like go and buy their former house? Like they just show up and they're like, hey, I'm buying this house. I don't care what it costs.
They might have made it an Airbnb at that point and then just said, all right, we're moving back in.
Just do what Crime Dog does at Auburn. This is what his 3rd. You can technically say 4th if you want because he left for Texas A&M for a week and he's never sold his house. He just walks back in.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, Jordan, probably not. Because yeah, that's what Crime Dog like kept talking about in the spring. He was like, glad I never sold the house. He's on, like Christian said, he's on his technically fourth stint because he officially was hired at Texas A&M. Like they sent it through and everything. But I guess he didn't sign the paperwork because he was able to jump back to Auburn. So guys, going into our final round here, the standings, Jordan is in first place. And so you guys can kind of get your numbers here ahead of you to see how much you need to wager. Jordan is in first place. He has $1,700. So Aaron and Christian are both tied at $700. So you guys are both $1,000 behind Jordan as we head into our final round. All right, if everybody is ready, get now into our... It's sort of in the spirit a little bit of Jordan's final question the last time around. And we will give... I'll give a minute here. A good 60 seconds on the text message. All right. Final question. Wager. Usual rules. Text me how much you want to wager. And if you don't want to wager anything, obviously you won't lose it, but you are running the risk of losing it as well. How many FBS head coaching changes were there this cycle? The closest answer wins. I don't expect any of you guys. Don't expect any of you guys to.
Are we
to get it, Jordan? I just read what you wagered as your guess for how many there were, and I was like, oh, very, very, very funny, Jordan. Very funny, Christian.
So, are we counting coaches like interim coaches like Northwestern getting elevated? Is that being counted?
Yes, we are counting. We are counting new coaches that have been appointed. Okay. So you can sort of go by school here. That might be easier. Just look at the individual school. Who's got a new coach going into 2024? Retraction, Christian. We are not looking at elevations or anything like that. We are looking at new coaches who got hired. Sorry, because I have the list. I have the list pulled up here. So
I'm gonna have to go through all these schools in my head again to count it all up just because of you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you extra time for that.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with the results. It has all been tallied up. The answer to this one, the correct answer, the exact answer is 29. 29 newly appointed new hires. Apologies for not being like super clear about that ahead of time. Had to go and issue a little bit of a... So yeah, guys like Northwestern, where it was an interim situation and elevation did not count, but hopefully you guys kind of wrapped your brain around that one. So with that being said, there were some all y'all's answers were really good. Aaron, you're going to finish in third place.
That's fine.
Today.
I said I'm chasing a big lead. I'll throw it out. Why not?
Oh, absolutely.
What's there to lose?
You've got to swing. You got to swing the bag there at the end. Aaron wagered his full 700 because, duh, of course, with a guess of 20. Jordan wagered 700, which I think is a pretty good number there to try to hang around with the lead. His guess was 34, which is only 5 off. That's a really, really good guess.
Come on.
But I don't know how to say it, folks. Christian came in with a guess of 30. 30. One away, and he wagered 700, bringing his total up to 1,400. So Christian Clemente, against all odds, is the winner of episode 2 of College Football IQ. The man who said I ain't paid to play school. I ain't paid to play coaching carousel. Christian, what are your remarks now that you're the champion, my friend?
Look, I can't wait for the national version of this here within a couple months to compete on that. I spent the last probably 20 minutes off, didn't really buzz in there for a while. Was really enjoying some Zen, and then got the last question right by a minor miracle. I went with a rough guess of roughly a quarter of the FBS changing, and turned out to be right.
Turned out to be the right one. Yeah, you were chilling for a little while. There was no Christian movement on the buzzer there.
Look, I was figuring stuff out for Thursday's 7-on-7 camp. I had more important things to do.
Jeez. Well, Jordan, now you know how I feel when Bryce took it right out from under my feet. When I literally held the lead the entire time. Still not bitter about that.
Jordan, I will say I appreciate the fact you didn't just bet $0 to hold the lead, because that would be a coward's move. But
yeah, who would have done that, right, Christian?
Wait, did you do that?
Did I, Jordan? I think I did.
I think you did. I think you just locked it down.
Let me check.
I'm going to have to go the Ben Wolk route, though. I'm going to argue that, the David Braun at Northwestern. I would have beaten Christian had it counted, but no, Christian played it well. And I thought this went great. I thought, Nathan, you did a great job with this. It's fun it's definitely fun to be on the other side, because when you're doing it, you're like, oh my God, my hair's on fire.
Yeah, I will definitely agree with you there, Jordan. I definitely there's a lot more pressure on this side. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me a little bit. For our visual people tuning in on YouTube, thank y'all for watching. I don't know what kind of product you're going to watch, considering we had to cut out about 7 minutes.
This is nothing compared to the first one. I was really having to go through it, so it won't be that bad.
Well, that's good. I didn't spend as much time here jumping in, and which I probably should have done, having a little bit of coaching discussions here and there, but all 3 of the programs we covered didn't change head coaches. So I think that probably would have been a larger discussion for all of us if that had been the case. But Aaron, I know Christian's the winner, but you're the real MVP here for coming in and giving us a 3rd spot today. Really rounded things out and made for a fun show. So I will close this out. I appreciate everybody for listening here today. Dawgs247 is where Jordan is from. If you are a Georgia football fan or a Georgia football adjacent interester, you can go check out everything going on there with what will probably be the #1 team in the country. Christian Clemente and myself are over at Auburn Undercover, where we have the Tigers covered for you guys. Like Christian mentioned, recruiting is about to get ramped up in a huge, huge way, and that is obviously where Christian's mind is right now. And then Aaron is over at CatsPause, where Mark Stoops obviously continues things, leading the Wildcats, and it's a new era of Kentucky basketball, which is super, super exciting for them, which you don't always get to say.
That's right.
There after John Calipari was there for a while. So I will also say, if you guys are listening to this, regardless of which team you're a fan of, I have some really good news. 24/7 is offering a 60% off promo. This is network wide. It runs till the 11th, until the 12th. So through the 11th. Jordan brought that up. Thank you for pushing that plug here, Jordan. Yeah, I mean, we always tell people, and this is not to sell out here at the end, but we legitimately always tell people, when we have really good deals, use it, take advantage of it. You get free Paramount Plus after it's over, when it goes back to the normal price. And so that's really big too. The biggest thing is You get to read every site, everybody's VIP
Right.
content from across the network. So if you're a, whatever, if you're a Florida fan listening to this or wherever, whatever school, you guys can go tap in there, and you can also check out the rest of the programs while you're at it. And so 60% off, just look it up. Look up Auburn Undercover 24/7, subscribe, whatever you want, whatever website you want to punch in. We appreciate everybody for tuning in today on whichever respective podcast feed you caught this show on, and we will catch you guys on episode 3 probably within the next couple weeks. And so thanks so much, everybody, for listening. Talk to y'all soon.